an amazing activist, just amazing human, and been also an incredible support to this event. And so I am proud to introduce the We the Free organizer of Edmonton, Jareen Anderson.
Hello everybody. I am the naturally imperfect vegan all the way up here from Edmonton. I'm not the best at giving speeches, so I did have to write it out. Otherwise it will be all over the place with my ADHD. So let's start. I'm here to tell you my version of why everyone is not vegan yet. But first, a bit about myself. I go by Jareen, Greenie, Gerber, Gigi, and any other variations of my original name. I used to be the vegan poet, and now I have rebranded myself as a naturally imperfect vegan. My story is an important one to tell, just as yours is. When others hear it, there is a good chance similar feelings from your experiences are shared and compared with their own. Not all, but some. And there might even be that one who is at the end of their carnistic journey who goes vegan from something you have said. I have been vegan for 3 years this December. I've also been active for the animals for the same amount of time. I first became vegetarian after my brother Sean. He was smarter than me in the beginning. It went like this. I worked for the Justice Department, so I got to see JPs and justices all the time. There's this one cute little old vegetarian JP I like to pick on. Every time he walked by my desk with his little veggie salad, I would ask him questions that would irritate any vegan. I would bug him about the Beyond Meat burgers and ask him why he wanted his food to look like our food and taste like our food. He never answered me. He couldn't stop laughing. He only laughed, mainly because I was funny, not at the question. But then I asked my brother the same question. He said, Wiener. That's another nickname. I didn't go vegetarian because I didn't like the taste of animals. I did it because it was the right thing to do. His answer is what made me go vegetarian. Always talk about the animals every chance that you get. Never dismiss the simple, irritating questions. Because some people are closer than they even know. So with that, my official journey began. It would be worthy to note that JP never made fun of me for going vegetarian, which is something that I expected after me giving him such a hard time. Then I got injured at work and was sitting my skinny ass down at a computer every day looking for something meaningful to do with my life. I remembered reaching out to Anonymous for the Voiceless and asking if I could join. However, they refused me because I was not vegan. They said, "You are almost there. Let us know when you get there," was the gist of it. I called them every name in the book for refusing me, and they reinforced what I believed about vegans, thinking they were better than everybody else. I felt that vegans were a bunch of jerks by this point. Then, a few months later, I came across a post about a woman who had been run over by a transport truck. This was months after it had actually happened. It immediately piqued my curiosity. Bearing witness. What the hell was that? She was run over by a truck? What? I had to look at this. My mind was so confused. Her name was Regan Russell, a longtime activist. If you don't know her, please look her up. The video shook me to my core. I watched There Was a Killing, and it was the most heartbreaking story I'd ever seen or heard, because the reason why it was more powerful than anything is because it was the part of the truth that had been hidden from all of us. So it was a hidden truth in plain sight. I began to grieve the loss of a life I had been given that was full of lies. These lies kept me contained within a system of torture against any other living being. I watched all the YouTube videos I could find on Regan Russell's death. I found out everything there was to know about bearing witness, which of course threw me down into a rabbit hole of truths about the animal agriculture industry. When I came out of that rabbit hole, a month later, I was no longer vegetarian, I was vegan. Sorry. It looks like I have a lot to say, but they're really big letters because I'm old and my eyesight's bad. So now I am vegan and still not working. I just had jaw surgery and I was still watching and learning everything I could from Earthling Ed, Joey Carbstrong, and others. And then I came across a YouTuber named the Vegan Pixie Warrior. And she was crying her eyes out. She said, if all the vegans out there would be active for the animals, we'd have a vegan world in no time. So what does Jareen do? She gets active. She reached out to all the organizations I could find to get active, which was no one because it was COVID. I eventually reached back out to AV And one of my first outside actions was with Anonymous for the Voiceless in the beginning of 2021. But the funny story is that the person who responded to me, "You are almost there?" Yeah, he now sleeps in my bed. Before I go on to the rest, I must first say that all approaches work and have validity in this movement. They work together, planting seeds and growing each individual's journey. You will never know what approach works or which line is the last sentence in someone's carnistic journey. Okay, on to now why I'm here. That was a long drawn out story, sorry. So why isn't everyone vegan yet? Is it not obvious that animals suffer? Is it not clear when they run from the blade or the bolt gun that these individuals want to live their one life they were given? That they think, feel, and suffer just like we do? And what makes me think that what I have to say is any more important than anyone else has to say? It isn't. It's just my perspective. So take what you want and leave the rest. So here's my brilliant conclusion. Most people don't give two hoots about the animals. People are selfish and habitual creatures. People hate change. People want to be liked and loved. People are afraid of the word vegan. And when you mix all those things together, what do you have? A really hard time getting people to go vegan. The first, I'll break it down into two. I'm not like a Melanie Joy or anything, but I'll break it down into two categories. And the first one is connection. We have no connection to the animals anymore. And how do you connect people with the animals? Unless everyone all of a sudden starts going to sanctuaries or adopting pets that include cows, pigs, chickens, and other farm animals, the next logical solution would be to nurture and guide our children's natural, compassionate instincts towards animals and turn them into caregivers for the animals instead of exploiters. Simple. Children are already natural caregivers. They love animals. You put a child in a crib with an apple and a rabbit, it's not going to eat the rabbit and play with the apple, right? So carry it on to the school system at every grade, expand it and entangle it within our programs and institutions, make being a compassionate human a priority. Thank you, you're welcome. So yeah, make it a damn priority that we understand these beings are individuals that want to exist with us, not become our dinner. Speak of their feelings, their desires, their abilities to feel joy, sadness, and pain and fear. Now when it comes to people, meet them where they're at. If they go vegan for health or climate, they will most likely be able to receive the messages about the animals easier, so don't freak out about it. They are not eating animals. If the connection is lost, the compassion will follow. Meaning, do not rely on people's compassion to get them to go vegan for the animals. People are only able to do what they are capable of doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't care about the animals. So we need to go in through the back door. Done. There you go. You're welcome. Sorry. Point number 2, carnism. Carnism has just come in and destroyed everything I just said. All right? So carnism, what is it? It's the invisible belief system that conditions us to eat certain animals. It distorts our reality so that we don't see an individual in the cow, we see dinner. And that we don't eat our pets, we cuddle them. It's not that we see differently or different things, it's that we see the same things differently. Quote unquote from Melanie Joy, brilliant woman. If you don't know her, look her up. When you threaten to take away what people perceive as food, they immediately become defensive and the fear sets in. Fear of not being fed, fear of not being liked, fear of being ostracized from family and friends, and of no longer being invited to birthday parties or holiday gatherings, leading to a disconnection from those they love, and finally, starvation. Solution? Feed them. Again, you're welcome. I have been doing this for 3 years, like hardcore for 3 years, and the common denominator in all of this is food, fear, and no ducks given. People are so attached to what goes into their mouths that when you threaten to take it away, it creates a huge flight or fight reaction within them. It did for me. When I first became vegan and could chew again, my brain could not compute. I didn't even think of using Google to veganize my favorite recipes. I relied on A&W's Beyond Meat burgers for close to 2 weeks. Why didn't I know what to eat? Carnism. 48 years of carnistic thinking is not going to change just because I went vegan. I kept picturing my plate with its mandatory 3 items. The animal flesh, the starch and the veggies, missing the animal flesh. That's all I could see. Fear of an empty plate. So when I do my outreach, I end all of my conversations with non-vegans by saying, be as vegan as you can be. While there is most definitely an animal holocaust going on, and my abolitionist brain would prefer to describe the Holocaust in great detail, that is not where people are at. Most people still believe it is normal, natural, and necessary to eat other animals. So changing that belief system is very important. I have looked into the eyes of thousands of animals as they go into the slaughterhouse. I have heard their screams as they are loaded and processed. I have touched them while they wanted me to free them, and I had to walk away. The last thing I wanted to say to someone is, be as vegan as you can be. But it works. It takes down any defensive walls that carnism had up during our conversation. When you take down that carnistic wall of fear, they have an easier time looking at their own actions through a clearer lens. And I will always talk about the sentience of the animals and how they would choose to rather live than be their dinner tonight. I want to bring it back to the human-animal connection, just to end it off, because I know I've babbled a bit here. While there is a crap load more I could say, I think this should suffice. I recently saw a video of Camille Labchuk responding to a woman who was justifying the abuse of horses in the rodeo. She talked about her distorted views of animals and the lost human connection. Quote, there is a lack of opportunity that we have all had to interact with animals in our natural environments or in a sanctuary. We don't get to meet cows, chickens, pigs, or horses in our daily lives. It is this lack of connection, these are my words now, it is this lack of connection that leads to carnistic justification or vice versa, where people feel justified in eating or using these animals in whatever way they choose. So, we need to change people's perceptions of animals and get them to connect while feeding them great food. You're welcome. Now, if you want a more professional, psychological or psychologist writing of all this, go to see Melanie Joyce. She's amazing.
Woo! Give it up for Jareen Anderson, all the way from Edmonton, the Imperfect Vegan.